Alright, how a grandpa broke Yu-Gi-Oh with Exodia. Let's watch. I'm pretty sure I watched this before, but I feel like I reference this all the time, so I want to show this to you, Chad. I want to talk about this. And it's also relevant for a video that I want to watch next. So yeah.
This is Jeffrey Leonard at the ripe age of 54 years old at a major Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, and he's playing Exodia, one of the worst decks in Yu-Gi-Oh against tier limits. The undisputed
Doesn't that sound insane? Like, oh yeah, he's playing Exodia, the worst deck against tier lemons, the tier 0 deck, obviously.
the best deck of the game, and yet somehow
And all 5 pieces have been assembled.
Yo.
Ahead, Exodia obliterates.
I always love that. I always love how the caster say obliterate at the same time. It's so good.
this is the story of how one duel cemented Jeff Leonard's place in Yu-Gi-Oh history.
Alright.
Who exactly is Jeffrey Leonard? Well, even with him being twice the age of the average duelist, he's one of the most beloved players in the entire community. His story began like countless dads, wanting to spend more time with his kid, but Jeff went above and beyond. He didn't
Isn't that like a cool backstory? I honestly feel like that's one of the coolest backstory that you can have. Oh yes, just trying to spend more time with your family. That's how you learn the game. That sounds amazing. I love how even his opponent was smiling ear to ear, right? Because you can tell, like, when are you gonna see Exodia being someone in a feature match? That's crazy. When are you gonna see that and being part of it? It's so cool.
didn't want to just play with his son, he wanted to beat him. The problem? His son was playing fast and complicated decks, where
Wow.
a single turn could snowball into
As
a
you
cascade
do.
of moves that never seemed to end, and Jeff wasn't able to keep up. So instead, he went with the exact opposite approach, stun decks. These decks were designed to shut everything down.
Okay, see, floodgates. Now I'm gonna say it right. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room, right? I hate floodgates, right? I hate floodgates. I think they shouldn't exist. I understand why bad players play them. I'm gonna make a video about it, about how like floodgates are like basically made for bad players to play with. So it makes sense that someone that is tired of like going against combo decks and stuff like that will play floodgates. It makes sense. So I mean, yeah, I mean, this is a case where I hate the sin and love the sinner, right? I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. That's just one of those situations.
And stop the opponent from even getting their combos off the ground. The stun-based playstyle was the complete antithesis to combo decks, and that was the playstyle that Jeff would gravitate towards. But Jeff wasn't just a feel-good story, he had the skill to back it up. With multiple tournament tops over the years, within the community he became known as the wholesome old guy everyone loved, and videos featuring him could pull over 100,000 views.
This video, we're gonna watch this later.
He wasn't loud or brash.
Subscribe for more. Actually, no, subscribe to Gfan. Really cool content creator. Does a lot of research and makes really high quality videos. So yeah, subscribe to Gfan, please.
He was the perfect character of a dad, wearing a cheerful smile on his face as he played Yu-Gi-Oh, playing at his own pace. His age made him stand out, sure, but it was his good nature that made him so beloved. Jeff had a reputation as one of the most nicest players in the scene, and everyone welcomed him into the community as one of their own. But at the same time that Jeff was making his way around in the community, known as the
Also
wholesome,
another goat.
lovable dad, another story was unfolding, with the rise of one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most hated cards, a story Jeff would be tied to in an unexpected way.
I'm glad that I wasn't there for the Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine.
Mystic Mine, a card so notorious that the mere mention of it could send a shiver through any duelist. It was universally hated.
I didn't play during that format, so I actually have no idea how bad it was. Well, I do have an idea. Like, what I'm saying is, like, I didn't experience it firsthand, but like seeing like how like people always react to it, like we just saw, right, an example of it. Like, it's insane. Like, I cannot imagine playing the Mystic Mine format. Crazy.
Because of how brutally effective it was at stunning your opponent. Mystic Mine terrorized the player base, where if you ever came across it in a duel, you knew
was
you were
awful,
in
I
for
bet.
a rough time. Mystic Mine is a field spell with one simple effect. If your opponent controls more monsters than you, they can't activate monster effects or declare an attack. And if you control more, the same also applies to you. And if both
I didn't play during the Mystic Mine either, but God, I wish I did for like a week. We should try it. You know what? We were talking about how like we should like have a duel in a different format in a random time. Why don't we play the Mystic Mind format? Let's play the Mystic Mind format. Do it. Let's do it. Let's go.
Players have the same number of monsters, Mystic Mind destroys itself. On paper, it might sound like a balanced card, but in practice, it was anything but.
I hope on the very first ban list after this set's release, that card goes to like 0.
The card fell into
Yeah,
the
that's where it
category
belongs.
known as floodgates. Cards that stop entire mechanics of the game.
Is to run
Floodgates
tournaments
are
and tribute.
generally
Is
disliked,
to blow on my
as they're
board.
cards that prevent players from making certain actions, such as Imperial Order or Vanity's Emptiness, which prevent special summoning or activating spells. Imagine your opponent plays Mystic Mind, and then suddenly half of the cards in your deck are worthless, and then removing it? Easier said than done. It's like being told to cut down a tree after somebody has taken away your axe. This card was frustrating to play against, as it shut off monster effects.
What a good example. Telling you to cut down a tree after they take away your axe, right? That's such a cool example. Like that is exactly what it feels like, right? And then getting another axe is like a gacha game, right? Like it's random. The game is just like a coin flip. The game is a coin flip. That's what it is. That's why I hate floodgates.
Which left many decks unable to even function. Now, sure, you also had two ways to remove it, through spell destruction effects or by controlling an equal number of monsters your opponent controls, but neither were reliable. At this point in Yu-Gi-Oh!, power creep had advanced so far that spells and traps dedicated to spell and trap removal were relegated instead to inbuilt archetype monster effects.
They would rake the
which
coin,
Mystic
so
Mind
true.
completely shut down. Relying on its inbuilt destruction effect didn't work either. If your opponent ever thought the coast was clear with no Mystic Mind on board, cards like Metaverse or Demise of Land could play Mystic Mind during the opponent's turn, acting not only as a form of disruption, but also leaving your opponent with at least one monster on the board, and once a monster was stuck, it was nearly impossible to remove it without the very effect Mystic Mind disabled. This card created a strange gameplay state, where if the opponent ever summoned a single monster, they were locked out of playing until they drew an answer, and if they held back and waited, they couldn't advance their strategy. To put in perspective of how broken it was, for a feature match at YCS, where the only actions were draw, then pass, for 10 turns. It was a miserable experience for everyone involved.
How can anyone defend this type of playstyle? It's because it's Jeff Lerner, right? But how could they defend anyone else playing this, right?
For the opponent, spectators, and honestly probably even the person piloting the deck.
Let's see what we're playing against.
Safe to say, Mystic Mind was despised by almost every corner of the community. It created two groups of players, the people who played it and the people who didn't. And if you're in that first group, then you're public enemy number one. One playstyle that spawned with the rise of Mystic Mind was Mystic Mind Burn. Since Mind stalled opponent, it synergized nicely with Burn decks, which relied on dealing damage through effects rather than battle. Burn decks were also known for being uninteractive, and combining them with Mystic Mind created the perfect recipe for being the most hated strategy in the game. Well, what would the most toxic deck look like? The most popular build that came from this era was
Am I seeing
the
3
PvP
Solemn
top
Strikes there?
16 deck list. That would rely on
My brain is fried right now. How could I recognize Solemn Strike? Solemn Judgment, sorry, Solemn Judgment. I'm stupid. But you know what I mean. Solemn Judgment with these pixels. I'm crazy, dude.
popular build that came from this era was the PPG top 16 deck list. That would rely on shutting down your opponent with Mystic Mind, and then winning the game through the ticking time bombs of Wave Motion Cannon, which dealt 1000 damage for every
Like a
turn
true
stayed on the
Yu-Gi-Oh
field
player,
before
yeah.
being sent to the grave. Or Final Countdown, a card which let you win a game after 20 turns had
Oh
passed.
my
And when you
god.
looked at the specifics of the deck list itself, it looked
Traumatized
like
by
it was
Solemn,
engineered
yeah.
purely to frustrate. It ran 15 cards which let you get faster access to Mystic Mind, and once it was online, removing it was a nightmare. Thanks to protection cards like Prohibition, Field Barrier, or Solemn Judgment, and one of the nastiest tech cards, Goddess's Skull's Oracle, let you prevent your opponent from even drawing any outs. You'd think the most toxic player imaginable could have built
Oh,
this
that's
deck.
what you meant,
The truth
rigging
was
the
none
coin,
other
the coin
than
flip.
Jeffrey Leonard, who placed top 16 in a PPG tournament with this very build. Despite playing one of the most degenerate decks ever built, everyone gave Jeff the pass. It probably made him even more likable. The most wholesome person in the entire community was playing one of the most hated decks in history of Yu-Gi-Oh! It had a very ironic contrast that everyone seemed to find funny. Even became a running joke that Jeff playing Mystic Mine against his own son was another form of child abuse. Jeff wasn't even a pushover
insane.
who's carried by Mystic Mine. He clearly had the skill to back it up, considering his tops at PBG or the first place wins at numerous COVID-era tournaments. For a while, Jeff was in his element, as Mystic Mine was meta, playing the same game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That he loved, always with a smile on his face, until December 1st, 2022.
Mystic Mine, Mystic Mine, Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine is on there! Mystic Mine is banned!
On that day, the new ban
The joy
Mystic Mine was
in
wiped
his
off the
face.
game, and with it, every deck
Smile.
relied on it, leaving Jeff without his weapon of choice. To make matters worse, the meta had completely shifted. With the introduction of tier limits, a deck unlike anything before. Not only could it string together absurdly long combos on its own turn, it was known as a turn 0 deck, as it could combo not just during their turn, but during yours. Tier limits were the start of the new era of power creep, a deck so strong that even 3 years later, they're still unmatched. So the era of Mystic Mine had come to an end, with Stun taking a backseat to the all-powerful tier elements. But Jeff kept competing, because for him, this was far from the end of the story. Enter
That
Exodia,
picture
the
is
Forbidden
crazy. Yeah, Exodia. We went full circle. Full circle.
Jeff always had an affinity for unconventional decks, often choosing to play first turn kill decks. But with this change in era, his next pick was just as strange, as at YCS Indianapolis 2023, the deck he played was
Exodia! Obliterate!
Exodia was a very odd choice for a high-level tournament, especially if you wanted to do well. The pieces of Exodia were a relic of the game, where card design was more of an afterthought. It was gimmicky, inconsistent, and outdated. In case you didn't know what Exodia does, Exodia's effect lets you win a duel when you have all 5.
Imagine not knowing what Exodia does. The other day, I was talking. My brother doesn't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! But he always thought for some reason that you needed to put all the pieces of Exodia on the board, right? On the field. Not that you just need it in your hand. And it's like, wait, how does that work? And I no, have you ever read the card? Obviously he hasn't, right? And he's like, no, if you have this the head and these other like cards in your hand, you win. That's what it does. It doesn't attack, it doesn't do damage, it doesn't reduce your opponent's spell life points to 0. It says you win the duel. That's what it does. The flash of DLD, I missed that. But yeah, no, that's
In case you
it.
didn't know what Exodia does, Exodia's
Oh yeah,
effect
that was a
lets you
LD
win a
there.
duel when
That's so
you have
funny.
all 5 pieces in your hand.
Subscribe to Gifan, that's for more comedy like that.
Even playing
Oh my
it, you're
god.
forced to run 5 dead cards that do nothing in a duel. Draw 1 in your opening hand, you're effectively playing with 1 less card, while your opponent starts with 5. Building around Exodia means that your entire deck must be dedicated to draw cards so you can dig for those pieces, all while praying that you don't break by drawing too many pieces early. And even if you do manage to set it up, modern hand traps like Ash Blossom can stop you cold. That's why, for the most part, Exodia decks never saw any serious play at the top level, and yet,
Any
Jeff dared to
serious
try.
play.
Jeff wasn't worried about topping the event with his deck. Winning wasn't a goal, he was there for something far simpler, and maybe something we forget too often in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!
What is the context of this video? They are listening to someone. Okay, I was like, wait, no one is talking. They are just smiling to the camera. And it's like, okay, there is someone behind the camera. I was like going crazy there.
For that YCS.
This deck is really not for winning tournaments. It's basically to have fun.
Armed with the deck list
Yeah?
that his son
Have
had
fun.
helped him build, Jeff set off ready to duel in a tournament. But this wasn't your typical Exodia build. It was something different, something no one had seen before. So how did Jeff's Exodia deck work? Just like Jeff, his variant of an Exodia deck was just as unusual and memorable as he was. Most Exodia builds rely on loading a deck with draw cards and randomly hoping that you'd get all 5 pieces. Instead of relying on luck with the draws you got, his deck was built to search every piece directly. This key distinction was pretty important important. As long as the combo got started, the opponent had no way to stop it. Victory was guaranteed. The combo was a little too intricate to break down step by step, but here's the abridged version. The deck revolved around 4 key cards: Isolde, Blue Dragon Summoner, Selene, and Time Star Magician. As long as you had any 2 warrior monsters on the field, you could special summon Isolde, which served as the main entry point to the combo. Time Star Magician fetched
all
ahead
you
of
need.
Exodia while also sending Blue Dragon Summoner to the grave. From there, Selene becomes the focus point of the combo, allowing you to repeatedly summon Blue Dragon Summoner over and over. And each time Summoner hit the grave, you could search another limb of Exodia, one by
That's
one.
why you need to
With
put
new ways to summon
once per
copies
turn on
of
your
Selene from an
cards.
extra deck, the deck could piece Exodia together surprisingly easily. It also wasn't like the combo was hard to pull off. There was plenty of 1 card or even 2 card combos to get to it. Biggest problem was how easy it was to disrupt the combo, either with hand traps like Ash Blossom or Drone Lockbird, which stopped you from adding cards to your hand, ending the combo. It was an all or nothing deck. If Jeff had a single Neospace connector and opponent had no disruptions, then he won instantly. But if he was forced to go second or his combo was interrupted, then the deck had no way to fight back, and he'd be done for. And this new style of Exodia seemed to even work, as for the
This is
first
that
3 matches
Exodia.
Jeff played, he won not just 1, not just 2, but all 3 games. The news spread fast with people realizing that not only was Jeff Leonard doing well, he was playing Exodia. Word even spread
was
to the
doming
tournament
people?
producers,
What do you mean
and that's
doming
when they
people?
decided Jeff's round 4 match would be featured on the live stream, but his opponent, Justin Singh, commanding the all-powerful tier limits. By this point in the meta, tier limits had been taken to the shed and shot 8 times. 90% of the cards in the archetype had either been limited to 1 or
And it was
outright
still
banned.
really good.
It was such a dominant deck that even cards that were remotely associated with it were also banned. To put it in perspective, this was full power tier limits, and then post the February 2023 ban list, this is what they ended up looking
Jesus
like.
Christ.
Even with tier limits being a shell of its former self, the match was still heavily in its favor. The few cards that survived the ban list were strong enough to make it one of the best decks in the meta, but the deck's once impenetrable armor now had a crack. It was far more prone to breaking. By this point, Jeff had once again become a meme in the community.
I feel like this was a case of like Hydrogen Baby versus Coffin Bomb. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
For managing to win with Exodia. A crowd had formed watching the feature table. Everyone knew he was on Exodia, but no one knew how he was pulling it off. And that mystery is what made the duel electric.
People didn't know.
Game 1 starts in Jeff's favor. He wins the die roll, getting to go first. He opens with Neospace Connector, which special summoned an Aqua Dolphin. Not only did this provide for 2 warriors, meaning that he could summon Isolde, and in turn win with Exodia, Aqua Dolphin also had an effect that let him rip a monster from Justin's hand, potentially clearing out hand traps. And so, Jeff starts his combo. But Justin responds with Kelbeck, bouncing Jeff's monster back into the deck. Luckily for Jeff, he has an extender, so he manages to find a new combo into Exodia.
Instant
Then piece by piece,
fusion.
he starts assembling it, and when the final card hits his hand, the crowd erupts, rallying behind Jeff as he takes game 1.
Oh, Exodia obliterate. Wow.
In game 1, Jeff got lucky by going first, but in game 2 we saw the true strength of tier elements. Justin fired off his tier element combo unhindered, forming a board of multiple negates. Jeff fought back by dropping 2 Santa Claus, sending a couple of Justin's monsters to the grave.
Crime. Santa Claus has come to town, and it has distributed off the spread.
This commentary is
2
insane.
Santa Clauses have been taken out.
But even that wasn't enough. The remaining monsters were more than enough to stop the Exodia combo,
Yes,
forcing
2
Jeff
negates,
to
right?
concede and tying a match to 1-1, with the final game deciding it all. All eyes were on the table. The last game would decide a winner. With his loss in game 2, Jeff got to go first. He opened with special summoning Junk Forward, and then Neospace
Junk
Connector,
Forward.
and the crowd erupted.
Special summon jump forward, and then we summon out the connector. We know the connector gets you there.
Everyone knew that even one Neospace Connector meant you could start the Isolde combo, but this time, Justin was ready.
Okay, this looks like it might be a Herald. It is.
It is Herald.
Yeah.
The name.
That's
And that takes out the Diviner in
monster
hand.
negate,
Justin
right?
down to 3 cards in hand.
Or an Omni
He
negate, I
fired
don't
off
remember.
Herald of the Orange Light,
A
which
monster
not only
negate,
negated
okay.
Neospace Connector's effect, but also destroyed it. Without it, Jeff was left
Negate and
with a
destroy.
single warrior, so he couldn't reach Isolde, leaving him with no option but to pass.
Oh,
Some
that's
people might
sad.
overcommit because you just have to see it. Like, you have to see it.
It looked like the match was as good as over. On Justin's turn, tier elements could easily blow past Jeff and win the duel.
I see it in
And
his
yet,
Strategy
face.
like this, you are not giving Dark Ruler, Evenly Mad, Feather Dust, or any of those type of cards. Santa Claus. Oh my.
No! He's proceeding to set 1 monster face.
Set 1 monster. Why could that even be?
Another turn to try again. And
He cannot believe it. Did you see his reaction? He cannot believe it.
He's proceeding to set 1 monster face.
Wait,
Santa
wait,
Claus.
wait.
Oh my.
Oh no! He's proceeding to set.
The break. I can't. How do you break? It happens to everyone. It can happen to
Trying
everyone.
to try again, and he has a.
But fate had other plans, as on Justin's turn after ruminating over his choices, he had nothing. The strongest deck in
Nothing.
Yugioh's history had bricked, and Jeff had an opening. Like a heavyweight champion swinging and missing, Jeff was ready to counter with the full might of Exodia. He could only smirk in disbelief, already realizing what was about to happen. For Jeff, this was the final opportunity to make it all come together. It's Jeff's turn, and for him to win a duel, he needs to be able to have 2 warrior monsters on the field. He normal summons his second copy of Neo Space Connector, but Justin fires back with Ash Blossom.
But it's
down
still
his
2,
effect.
right?
But
The other one is
Jeff's last turn
a
hadn't
warrior.
gone to waste, as with Junk Forward still left over, he had exactly what he needed to summon Isold. And as Jeff calmly works his way throughout the combo, the more it becomes clear. Justin
Oh my
had
God.
nothing left in his arsenal. Then it
It
began.
looks so
The head of
funny. Like
Exodia
this
reached
like
his hand.
word's
More in the fields. I
insane.
don't know if I necessarily side those. Oh, here it is.
With the arrival of the 4th piece, the room erupts chanting.
Oh boy, another leg.
One more piece. One more
The
piece.
crowd is chanting. One more piece.
And then, with a smile on his face, Jeff reveals the final piece of Exodia.
Got the other arm. And all
He's doing it.
being assembled. The legs, the arms, the head. Exodia obliterate.
Dude, that's
Jeff
so
had done it again,
amazing.
sealing the match by assembling Exodia for the 2nd time, as the crowd absolutely exploded.
Wow, the crowd goes insane.
With Jeff's victory, he cemented himself in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! After all, there's few people who can claim they played Exodia in a feature match and won. Sure, he dropped the next 3 rounds and finished 4-3, but that didn't matter, because when people remember that tournament, they remember Jeff. His personality left such a mark that even his opponent, after arguably losing in a pretty uninteractive duel, couldn't help but laugh and smile. And a moment spread far beyond the niche group of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. Clips of Jeff's Exodia win went viral, reaching even casual fans who hadn't played the game in years, but still remembered Exodia.
I haven't heard about
And
this
that's what
before I
Jeff's story
started playing
reminds us.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's not the deck that defines the player, it's the player that defines the deck. If anyone else had been a face of Mystic Mine or an Exodia FTK, the reception would have been far less positive. But because it was Jeff, we loved it. In a world full of egos and competition, we could all learn to be a little more like Jeff.
Yeah?
Jeff showed how Exodia would work in real life, but how well did it work in anime? Click on this video on the right to see how well, or not so well, Exodia does in Yugi's deck from the show.
Yeah, click on the video. That was a really cool video. Thank you so much for recommending it, even though I already, watched it. We need to watch it again. Because now I feel like I have a better appreciation of the Yu-Gi-Oh! In general and everything, especially from the competitive side. Now watching everything again, now that I'm more like, or rather, now that I know things. Before I didn't know anything, and I was watching like something and barely understand. Now I understand like how unique this situation was compared to anything else. That's really good. So yeah, let me know if you want me to watch more videos like this in the comment, and yeah, see you next time.